Okay, several things that you can do in order for a blind person to feel better. Well, I had a very good experience recently at a hotel in Bulgaria, which is a very weird thing to say, unfortunately, even though my country is wants to be perceived as a touristy place, but still, it's not. So the coolest experience that I ever had recently was that when I was registering at a hotel in Veliko Trnovo, which is the like historic capital of Bulgaria, we were a couple of people registering at the same time because it was all crazy. It was for a conference type of thingy, and the register woman, girl, person. Um, she said, "Your room, Dilian, this is my name, Dilian, your room is 208D." And I I felt very nice because I don't know if she was trained to actually address my name and say my number of my room, but it felt incredibly different, and it felt just like I'm registering at a hotel at Austria, Germany, Italy, normally the places where people are doing it like this. So, yeah, when you are with a person with disability, especially with visual disabilities, and especially when you are serving person, you are service related person, and you are trying to address people, it's very nice if you can address and make the people realize that you are addressing them, because um, weeks before that I was in Sofia, so this is the actual capital city of Bulgaria. I was again at a four-star hotel. It's a Turkish brand type of hotel. It's very prestigious again, just like in Veliko Tarnovo, maybe a little more even. And there they were like, your room is this, and I'm like, is this my room? And again, I was in this subservient place where I was asking for help while they needed to address me and make me realize that they are talking about my room and to me, actually. So, right, so the next thing that you can do in order to be friendly to people with disabilities is, again, from my experience that I had recently, and it goes to an experience that I had literally yesterday, and I was traveling from Sofia. Again, this was another travel that I had from our actual capital to my hometown of Plovdiv. And the person who was selling the tickets for the company which does the transfers actually came straight to me, and he was like, "Hey, I am the tickets guy to Plovdiv. Are you traveling to Plovdiv?" Because I was sitting at their area, kind of, and I was like, "Yes, I do." And he was like, "Okay, we have these next buses," and he took my money. But the thing is, he represented who he is, which is a thing which rarely is done and is incredibly strange. Like, we are not supposed to read your tags or know who you are or how you are dressed. So when you say who you are really empowering us. Is the picture better now? Because we are in the Sony Alpha 6700 that I'm using, and this is the next thing that you can do for a person with disability, largely, as you can see, people who are blind or with low vision. But for other disabilities, we are going to talk soon, so stay tuned. So, this is the third thing that you can do for a person with disability to include them. My camera speaks. this camera that we are recording right now has menus, all the menus and all the settings that you can check in and check and dial up, dial down, whatever you need. Basically, 85% of the things are spoken by an actual voice. And what you can see right now in terms of pictures and everything is controlled by me and is dialed in by me. So what you can do is get familiarized by the things that actually are aiding the accessibility of that person. So if we're talking people with disabilities, be aware that they might use screen readers, that they might, you might ask, how exactly is the way that you are customizing your picture look like. Okay, it took like a couple of minutes, but basically what you do is take screenshots of the pictures that you've taken or of the video that you've taken. You run it through ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever those kinds of advanced AI models, and they can describe you, and you can ask different questions. I can ask them a lot of questions because before I lost my vision, I painted and I did quite a lot of acting, and I worked in the TV, so I know what to ask for. So it can describe me different things that I need. So you might realize that people who cannot see nowadays are using their phones to track different things like theatrical things, like concerts, like stuff like this. And generally, it happened to me. It will continue happening if we don't create more content like this. But people from the organizers, security personnel and stuff like this, they're always coming at me and they're like, oh, so you cannot record this one. I'm sorry, but. And I'm like, no, I'm not recording. I'm recognizing it with my iPhone because basically on iPhones, on Samsung phones, on whatever you are using, generally you are having quite a good possibility of actually recognizing basically what's happening around you using your camera. It's not recording anything, so don't worry about intellectual rights. So these are respected, but we just have a little more basic knowledge of what's visually happening in front of us, around us. So don't worry. Yeah. So get familiarized with how the accessibility things that people with different disabilities look. Even here we are branching out to a lot of disabilities because there are some disabilities where actually eye tracking of devices might be useful, because on your iPhones, on your Android devices, on some of them, the way that you can unlock your device with actually your eyes, with the scan of your eyes, the same technology is used to move the focus of the UI to certain parts of the screen, and actually triggering different actions using blinks of your eyes and stuff like this. Yeah, you can get familiarized with actually the things that people are using. First we said you are addressing the people that you are talking to. You are not talking to someone who is next to them. You are talking to them, and make sure that they realize they are talked to and they are addressed. A second, you say who you are, why you are approaching them. And the third thing, get familiarized with the things that they are actually using in order to have more accessibility. And the fourth thing that you can do in order to actually empower people with disabilities, because in a lot of cases, people who are not disabled, who are not familiar with the topic, they're like, why bother? It's cumbersome, it costs money. No, it might look like it's cumbersome and it costs money, but generally what accessibility does is actually making us, people with disabilities, or just like now we are going to address this fourth thing, which is way more inclusive than you might think. Actually ensures that even if you are with a disability or you are with a broken hand for a couple of weeks and you still need accessibility in those months, if you have accessibility, it's generally helpful for everyone to be way more productive than if accessibility doesn't exist. Because if no accessible products are existing, if no accessibility is actually created, people who are with a broken hand, with a broken leg, with something which will resolve in a couple of weeks or months, they are decapacitated heavily, and they cannot work, and they cannot, do their jobs as expected. And we people with disabilities might never work. And if we are working, we are paying our taxes. This is what happens when you build accessibility. Yeah, you invest, but then this invest is returned because more people at more times can work harder and more productively. Um, so yeah, this fourth thing is actually get familiarized with how accessibility works. This thing that I actually explained is how accessibility works. Accessibility is not a thing that you do, but is more like a process. It's more like having HR policy. It's having like financial awareness. It never, it at no point it's finalized. It always evolves, just because technologies evolves, just because human needs evolves, and working evolves as well. So when you get familiarized with how accessibility works, you are going to recognize that even in building, especially in building, you can do immense stuff in order to aid accessibility. Because a sloped curvature of the road, a sloped walkway is helpful for wheelchair users, but is helpful for white cane users. You know, the sticks that we people with who are blind or with low vision are using. Those are called white canes. They are useful for elderly people or for generally people who are using sticks or crutches. They are helpful for people who are with those baby carts, and for people who are just bougie and they want their SUV to be parked at a very fancy place until police comes and finds them. So yeah, in a lot of places you can just place accessibility. It doesn't matter if it's IT, if it's building, if it's whatever it is. If accessibility exists, this thing is going to be bringing more money to all of us, and is going to bring more welfare to all of us, and at more times, because this thing can be used. This is the thing, you are not generally building a road with very high slopes, with very uneven ways, and you're creating just another job, helping people who have trouble with mobility get through this region, and you are again creating jobs which are basically creating jobs which would what carry people around, and those jobs would require physical training, physical exhaustion, physical labor, and stuff like this. And those people cannot do anything else, and those people have to be trained well, paid well, and those people could strike. While when you have sloped things, when you have even surfaces, you eliminate all of that, and these walkways can be used at more times by more people more heavily. Um, the fifth thing that you can do for better accessibility is actually to ensure that you are asking the people with disabilities. Because in a lot of cases, things are created for us. You know, it's mind-boggling for me that most of the businesses that we are currently using in order to have our accessibility, for instance, if we are going back to this white cane thing, you know, white stick thing, most of those companies are created by people whose relatives have trouble with low vision. Because, for instance, my previous white cane, I bought it from a company which is in Bavaria because I'm traveling to Bavaria as well, not only in Bulgaria and in Italy and Austria, but yeah, I was curious to know what was behind this company. And in the company page, it says that the brother of the creator of this brand lost his vision and he wanted to create a white cane with his brother. And this is all fine. I'm not saying that this concrete brother who is blind should be creating a white king company for himself. It's dumb. Not all people without disabilities have entrepreneurial acumen or entrepreneurial incline or whatever. When you become with a disability, you are not obliged to become suddenly an entrepreneur. I'm just saying that it's mind-boggling that most of the companies which are creating accessibility tools, let's put it like the aiding tools, are created by people with disabilities, and they are largely created with people without disabilities, and the processes inside of these companies are controlled largely by people without disabilities. And even if you have people with disabilities who you are consulting them way later in the actual creative process, in the actual testing process, when you actually created the concept of the product itself, when you basically created the design, the feel, the way that should the product work, while you have to have the accessibility intel at the core of the thing that you are creating, because you are not creating a tool just because you feel sorry for a person with a certain disability. You are creating this product in order to serve well to a person with a certain disability. And sorrow and functionality are not equal, okay? Like, it doesn't work like this. Or you are creating a product just because the EU or some country or some budgetary BS thingy funds creation of stuff. Recently I was working at the IT company which decided to pivot to actually creating accessibility audits and accessibility optimization of your website, because in the European Union currently there is an act which is inquiring that basically if you are e-commerce site, and you have traffic over 1 million in a month, you are obliged to be accessible to screen readers and stuff like this. So if not, you are going to be sued eventually by people with disability just because they cannot access all the things that you have on your screen. And all the processes in this company, like the executive processes, were run by people who can see. You know, we were hired as QAs. We were consulted at a very basic level, but the way that the reports were constructed, they were constructed by people who could see, and they are still constructed by people who could see, which is a blind washing, which is accessibility washing, which is incredibly shallow and super stupid to be done, but yeah, those people are doing it. So this is how it works. People are just trying to create something out of sorrow or out of greed or out of lack of clear entrepreneurial vision of how you can handle your business, and you are just pivoting to what's trending, which is okay, power to you. But when you are using actual needs in order to just chill, um I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm sorry. So yeah, the sixth and final thing again, these are the things that you can do in order to be sure that a person with disability is sorry for that, is fully empowered in your processes, in your basically in your communication. First, address the people and be sure that they know you are talking exactly to them. Say who you are. This is the second thing. The third thing, uh, okay, you can basically rewatch them and be sure. But the sixth and final thing is when you ask people what they actually need, because this was our fifth thing. Ask the the actual people that you are creating for. Empower the actual people that have the actual needs and stuff like this. The sixth thing is put their feedback to work, because we started our actual camera part with the thing that this Sony camera has a screen reader inside of it. And guess what? There is a lot of nowadays. There are lots of camera brands and none of them has a screen reader. The camera that I started this clip with, the Insta360, and basically one or two other Insta360 models, have very, very basic screen reader type of thingy, but not really a screen reader, more like the the Q sounds, all the beeps and the clicks are replaced by actual messages recorded and placed instead of these beeping and clicking sounds, which is not a screen reader at all. So there are lots of camera companies, but action cameras, like the GoPros and the DJIs of the world, Canon, Fuji, whatever. None of them have a screen reader, and I I plead to camera companies for the longest time ever, create more accessible cameras, because right now we people with disabilities are buying, if we are serious about content creation, we are buying Sony only, because Sony has a screen reader. And Sony, this Sony camera, actually, the thing that you are listening my voice through is your earphones, what I'm talking about. The thing which is recording my voice is a Sony microphone plugged in my Sony hot shoe mount on my camera. And I don't need to set up anything in my camera in terms of audio levels. And in other regular Japanese or Chinese aid, regular companies like this, thingies, these, all the other stuff, and the DJI cameras for that matter themselves. When you plug an actual microphone in it, you have to monitor your levels in a menu which is not accessible. So you have no way of actually knowing where in the menu you are and what actually it is that you are tapping on the screen right now, because nothing reads to you, and you need to actually dial in your microphone settings. While Because Sony are using our input and are putting our input into actual products. First, they have microphones that you can just plug in, and they are taking care of the gain levels. Yeah, the gain levels, well, largely themselves. You don't need to dial in, and because they continued listening, they realized that we need microphones, but the video and the photo requirements that we have might change, and this is why they decided to put a screen reader for their menus, for their controls, and now we can control even more. And now we have even one more reason to stick to Sony. So when a company listens, they are able to make us buy it more often and with lesser type of critique, because we are seeing that they are listening to us, and because they have the comfort of listening to us, putting down money, R&D and whatever into actually creating things for us that we can use. We are actually buying their products because largely there are no other cameras existing like this, and this creates an endless loop of benefit for us, benefit for them, benefit for us, benefit for them. And there are lots of companies out there that we are regularly using or that we might use regularly. You know, I'm not talking only about people with blindness or with low vision, I'm talking all kinds of disabilities. And there are lots of companies that people with disabilities are using sparingly, or are using with a person without disability, or are willing to use on their own. The trouble is that the company is not listening to the need of people with disabilities and are not putting any effort into building in any type of accessibility in their product. And this is why they are struggling with acquiring people with disabilities as clients, as regular clients, as invested clients, as angel clients who are going to vouch for this company, just like I'm doing for Sony, because Sony colors are awesome. Right now, I'm using a profile which is used mainly for the Sony cinema cameras. It's the PP11. If you know, you know. And I can do it on my own, and I can have a very decent sound recording on my own. All because Sony are listening and are putting effort and have the benefit of our money going to back to their company, because they already put in accessibility inside of their product once for the hot shoe, which is making it easy to record actual and proper and cool sound. And second, because we can dial in how our visuals are looking like, just like any person who can see and who can dial their things alone independently. This is the largest thing that you can do for a person with disability. You can feel them independent, because trust me, the biggest burden of having any kind of disability is the dependability on other people and on other things, which is quite draining to be dependable on anything. So share with me what you tried with people with disabilities. Have you have any feedback for me? And I'm incredibly thankful that my YouTube channel started to get traction. I'm trying to respond to as many comments as I can, and subscribe, and I'm going to be back soon.